is going on, YouTube? It's Old Psycho, and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about a classic anime that came out 30 years ago, Golden Boy. So this is an anime that I've actually just recently come to find out about. I saw a YouTube video. I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna just put it right here about Golden Boy. I was like, oh, okay, that looks pretty cool. And I started watching it, right? And I realized that some of the clips that I've seen were fucking memes. Like, I've seen memes of this show before, and I'm like, dude, like I gotta give this shit a try. You know, when I'm exposed to something so many times, when I see memes of a show, that actually gets me to watch the show a little bit. That's actually what got me into JoJo. It got me into Demon Slayer. It got me into a bit of JJK as well. You know, just like seeing the memes like made me curious and made me go watch the show. So I want to make a video dedicated to Golden Boy. And it's crazy that this anime came out 30 years ago in 1995. Like, the anime landscape was so different back then. I'm talking about this in my Bleach video, and without spoilers. Basically, there's a section of the video where I talk about the difference between the anime landscape today and the anime landscape about like 30 years ago, 20 years ago. It was a lot different back then. It was a lot more televised. It was structured for broadcasting television, you know, whereas today anime is a lot more seasonal. It's mainly built for like streaming platforms like Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and stuff like that, where they give you a good batch of episodes and then they're like, okay, we'll see you in like six to 8 months, sometimes even like 2 to 3 years, you know. Whereas back then we had long running anime. You know, when it came to Yu Yu Hakusho, the anime was long running. When it came to Naruto, that was also long running. They was here every single week, rarely any breaks. Like, they was just always there and structured around commercials, ads, and all types of shit. Golden Boy was a little bit different though from that batch of anime that was coming out back then. It only had 6 episodes, and it was one of those what do you call it, OVAs. It was straight to DVD. I looked more into Golden Boy. Apparently I'm like, oh shit, this has a whole manga with over 100 chapters. I'm gonna be reading that like soon enough. And one thing that kind of shocked me, I guess, like one thing that you could say that probably didn't age that well in the story, is there's a lot of sex jokes. There's a lot of like lewd, erotic jokes in the story, and I think it does serve the story a bit because it shows a section of Kentaro's character that just, you could say, isn't really attractive. You know, Kentaro comes off as one of those like standard anime pervs. You know, the Minettas, the Master Roshis and stuff like that. I typically don't like those characters because having real female friends in my life and having like you know, female friends that I'm close to and shit like that, you know, when I see characters like that in anime and seeing the way they treat women, it kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit. I'm not like a fucking white knight or anything. I guess it makes me feel weird because I guess I just kind of treat women like people. You know, I like women too, don't get me wrong, right? But a lot of times these jokes, when they make them in anime, aren't really funny. Like, I fucking hate Mineta. Master Roshi is cool when he's not being a disgusting creep. So the interesting thing about Kentaro, the first thing I even learned about this guy, he dropped out of fucking university right before he was about to graduate because I guess he was just disinterested. Maybe he just saw the flaws of the education system and he goes and fucking lives on his bike. He's trying to learn through real life experience. So he travels the country doing odd jobs, writing everything he learns in his little notebook. And you know, he's perverted as fuck, but unlike a lot of modern anime degenerates, or you could say even old anime degenerates, there's a bit more to his character than just him being a perv. You know, he's a horny ass cornball, but he learns from every single woman he meets. He respects a lot of the women that he actually, yeah, you could say that he respects every single woman he meets in this story. A good chunk of them ends up falling for him because he does have redeeming qualities. He has very good qualities, and this is what I kind of like about him. He's like an actual person. You know, people in real life, they have very good qualities and sometimes not very attractive qualities, sometimes very ugly qualities. You know, you never really have someone who's just like purely good, purely evil. Those types of people are very rare, is what I'm trying to say. And Kentaro's irredeeming quality is that he's just he's a guy, you know. So he lets some of his intrusive thoughts take over. He does some pretty disgusting shit. But what I do like about the show is that they do kind of tackle it from a different angle when it comes to some of the jokes. Like you know, the trope where like the character falls on top of a girl, they look up, he's grabbing her breast, she goes ah, then slaps him. Like this is in so many anime, and I don't know about you guys, but I've never laughed at this joke. It is so unfunny. What I like about Golden Boy is that they take this scenario and they kind of make a spin on it, where they show us what the girl is thinking, what's going through her head while this is happening, and gives her a personality, gives her like some character. She's trying to fucking trick this guy into you know, basically looking like a pervert and shit like that, and like he's freaking out, she's like trying to egg him on. It's so fucking funny, and Kentaro's expressions are so like exaggerated. Like when they shift into like this realistic art style sometimes with his face, I start dying laughing. It almost reminds me of a Prison School, because they used to do that too. I don't know if the author of Prison School took inspiration from Golden Boy, but they kind of remind me, they kind of have very similar styles of humor. You know, I feel like Prison School is a lot more horny than Golden Boy, but when it comes to like how their male characters act and how they react to things, it's pretty similar. And I really like how over the top it is, how goofy it is. Beyond this, beyond you know, a lot of the jokes, a lot of the goofy stuff that happens in the show, the energy of Golden Boy is a bit refreshing for me, because you know, I'm so used to like newer anime, right? I got into anime around like the Sword Art Online era and stuff like that. Like I've only watched Dragon Ball and Naruto before then, right? So I'm used to kind of like the newer style anime where it's very fantasy focused. They make very similar jokes. They have like a very similar tone. It's I would say it's more fast paced these days too. The energy of Golden Boy is a bit different, where they take their time with scenes. They let some stuff kind of breathe a little bit. And the animation, you know, is very fluid, expressive, experimental. It has its own vibe to it, and I'm pretty sure that's mainly because it went straight to DVD, so I guess they have more time to work on it. But you could see like in the 6th episode that I don't know if it was like the animation crew trying to vent through the story, but it's crazy the work conditions that Japanese animation studios go through, you know, and the amount of work that went into making projects like these back in the day, like when no drawing tablets and stuff like that. No, I know for a fact that animation studios use AI nowadays, but without like much help, you had to do that shit traditionally, take a bunch of fucking photos and just televise that shit. It's like doing frame by frame sounds like a fucking nightmare, bro. And to think that I wanted to be an animator at some point in my life, I can't fucking believe it. And it's cool that I feel like I learned something from Kentaro and Golden Boy as well. And I don't know if it's the fact that we're about pretty much the same age, and stuff like that. Like the way that he treats learning and education, where he doesn't just tie it to school, right? He puts his education into his own hands, and he tries to learn through actual life experience. And you know, I would agree that, you know, there's no greater teacher than life itself. You know, like getting out of the classroom, getting off of just looking up stuff on Google or seeing things on Twitter, like experiencing life for yourself and not through other people, not through like social media influencers and celebrities and stuff like that. That is the greatest teacher, honestly. And I guess I could say it really inspired me to pretty much look at life a little bit differently. I remember my grandma used to say that, because I used to think, man, I can't wait till I graduate high school. I can't wait till I'm done with school and stuff like that. And my grandma would say, you know, no matter how old you get, you know, you don't really stop learning. Whether you're in school or not, you're gonna keep learning, especially if you want to learn. And Kentaro is a very enthusiastic learner. He respects every single job that he goes to, you know. And that's crazy, because I'm from an age where, like, my generation, you know, every time I go into a job, right, I worked many different jobs, I would see people my age or younger just kind of, they'll be fucking around like on their phone, you know. They wouldn't be taking the job seriously. You know, you could work at a job and like, let's say it's not gonna be your career, right? It's not gonna be your career. You're not really passionate about it, but at the same time, you're making a living. Like you're being paid to do that job. And let's say if you work in like a job where you're servicing others, you could potentially make someone's day. You are in service to somebody else. And that just comes with the job, and you signed your name on the dotted line. That's how I used to think about. That's how I used to think about jobs. And honestly, I would say the most amount I learned while working a job was when I worked. I would say in a restaurant, because I got to talk to so many different people as a waiter, as a cashier and stuff like that. It was definitely mentally exhausting, working at that bitch every day. But it was I would say it was worth it in the end that I got that experience, because I have a whole different perspective on life. I ended up working retail a little bit later, and pretty much the same thing. But I would say retail is a little bit more chill. So I don't know if I worked as many jobs as he did. These days you can't just quit a job and get a new one just like that. Just by showing up to the interview, be like, okay, I'm eager to learn. I'm willing to just scrub the toilets, get experience, stuff like that. You can't do that these days. Maybe back then you could. You guys ever had that moment where your parents or anyone, whether like people from an older generation, were like, oh, just go out and get a job. Like just go and get a job, right? Maybe back in their day they was able to do that, but in 2025, like, that's just fucking impossible. And that's one thing that kind of ages Golden Boy back a little bit, is just how the job market is and shit like that. It is cool that things used to be like that back in the day, but man, the job market today is I'm not gonna get into fucking economics and politics with you guys. but yeah, man, like Golden Boy, just it's like I went through a time machine, and I'm looking through a time capsule on how anime used to be back in the 90s, where there wasn't such a saturation of anime back in the day. It wasn't really mainstream. There wasn't as much anime to choose from, and I feel like that's what makes this era special, where a lot of these anime, despite being in such a niche genre, but despite having such a small section of fans in America, they, like, the animators were giving it their fucking all when it came to production on some of these. When you look at, like, let's say the Street Fighter anime movie, like this anime, Evangelion, the quality of these anime still holds up to this day. And yeah, I fucking love Golden Boy. If you guys haven't seen this anime, I recommend give it a try. If the erotic nature of the show is any concerning to you, or if it makes you uncomfortable, I don't recommend it. But if you're someone who just wants to sit down, have a good time, and laugh, Golden Boy is one of the funniest anime that you could ever watch. And yeah, I'm gonna stand by that. It's one of the funniest anime that I've ever seen. So if you want to go laugh, watch Golden Boy. This is a pretty fun video. I feel like I want to look at some other anime that came out in the 90s, 1995, 1993, 1992, and stuff like that, and make reviews for those older anime. Kind of gotta give them a spotlight, or give a perspective from someone who's used to more modern anime. One that I really want to do next is Neon Genesis Evangelion, and that one might not be a long review, but we'll see. I only made it halfway through the anime. I want to finish it and get my thoughts on it. So these are my thoughts on Golden Boy. Let me know in the comments section below what you think, and I will see you all later. Goodbye.
When the day is done, when the race is won, my life has only just begun.